You know, the moon is just a few days away by spaceship, but we've never actually gone there. It's like the closest neighbor we've never visited. It's not like we didn't try. We built rockets, trained astronauts, and even sent robotic probes to take pictures of it. But here's the weird part. We've seen the moon up close for decades, and yet, we've never set foot on it. Why is that? Was it too far? Too dangerous? Or maybe we just didn't want to go. So, what's the real reason we've never set foot on the moon? Let's find out.
So what exactly are we talking about? We're not just saying humans haven't gone to the moon. We're talking about the moon itself, that giant, glowing rock hanging in our sky for billions of years. It's not just any rock. It's the closest celestial body to us, about 400 kilometers away. That's over 238,000 miles. It's a world of craters, mountains, and plains, all waiting to be explored. So when people say humans have never been to the moon, they're not just talking about a lack of visits. They're talking about a complete absence of human presence on that distant, alien world. And yet, we've built machines, launched rockets, and sent probes to study it. But the real question is, why haven't we gone there? Why hasn't the moon been a destination for humans? Maybe it's not just about distance. Maybe it's about cost, risk, or the sheer difficulty of landing on a world so far away, with no air, no water, and no chance to return. So what are we really talking about here? We're talking about the moon, a place we've stared at for millennia, but never set foot on. A mystery that's still waiting to be unlocked. You might think the moon is just a rock in the sky, but it's actually a giant time capsule holding secrets about Earth's early history. By studying the moon, scientists can piece together how Earth formed and even understand how life might have started. And if we can unlock the moon's secrets, we might even find answers to questions about life beyond Earth. So yeah, the moon might look quiet, but it's actually one of the most important places in the universe, and we're still only beginning to understand it. Let's jump right into the past. In 1957, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik, the first artificial satellite, and the space race was on. The world watched as the Cold War turned into a race for the stars. Then came 1961, when Yuri Gagarin became the first human in space. He orbited Earth just once, but it was a huge deal. The world was buzzing with the idea that space was no longer out of reach. But the moon wasn't just a destination. It became a symbol of Cold War competition. The US and the USSR both aimed to plant flags and leave footprints, but the real race was for technological and ideological supremacy. By the 1970s, the Apollo missions slowed down. The US had landed on the moon, but the cost was high. The Cold War cooled, and the moon lost its urgency, at least for a while. After Apollo, the world turned its eyes to Mars and the stars. The moon became a forgotten relic of the past, but it's still there, waiting for the next leap forward. So imagine this. You're on a playground, and there's a slide that's way up high, but you're not allowed to go on it. You can look at it all day, but you can't climb up. The moon is like that slide. It's out there, big and shiny, but we just can't reach it without a special ride. The thing is, we've built rockets, and we can go up really high, but not high enough to get to the moon. So we look at the moon every night, but it's like looking at a toy we can't play with. It's fun to watch, but we need to build the right toy to go there. And that's why we've never gone to the moon yet. Not because it's too far, but because we haven't built the right spaceship to take us there. But maybe one day, we'll build the spaceship, and then we'll go to the moon. It's just a matter of time and building the right toy. So you want to know why we've never been back to the moon? Well, let's start with the basics. What exactly did we do the first time around? Back in the 1960s, NASA had a big mission: land humans on the moon. It was called Apollo, and it was a race against the Soviets. The rocket had to carry enough fuel to get to the moon, land, and come back. That's a lot of fuel, and it takes a lot of planning. The first mission, Apollo 11, needed to be perfect. Every system, every calculation had to work exactly right, or the mission could fail. So it wasn't just about building a rocket. It was about building a whole system: fuel, computers, communication, and a plan that would work in space. Once the rocket is in space, it needs to slow down enough to be captured by the moon's gravity. That's where the braking maneuver comes in, a precise slowdown that turns the rocket's path from a straight line into a curve. This requires a delicate balance of fuel and timing. Too much thrust, and the rocket might overshoot the moon; too little, and it might drift away into space forever. Once in orbit, the rocket can then begin the final step: landing. This involves slowing down even more and navigating the moon's uneven terrain with extreme precision. The moon's gravity is weaker than Earth's, so the rocket doesn't need to brake as hard as it would on Earth, but it still needs to be precise to avoid crashing or bouncing off the surface. This is where the whole system of guidance, navigation, and control comes into play. A complex dance of physics and engineering that has to work perfectly to make it happen. Now, here's the clever twist. The moon is actually spinning in a way that makes it harder to reach. It's like trying to catch a spinning top with your bare hands. It's not just about distance, it's about motion. The moon is orbiting Earth, so any spacecraft would need to match its speed and direction to land safely. To land on the moon, you need to slow down just enough to fall into its gravity, but not too much or you'll crash into the surface. This balance between speed and gravity is why landing on the moon is so tricky. It's like walking on a tightrope between falling and floating. So, even if we had the technology to get there, the motion of the moon itself makes it a puzzle that requires perfect timing and physics. So, what's really going on up there? The moon isn't just a rock. It's a giant, ancient world with its own gravity, temperature, and even a magnetic field, though it's way weaker than Earth's. To land there, you need to deal with that gravity, which is about 1/6 of Earth's. It sounds light, but it's still enough to make a spacecraft feel like it's being pulled by a giant invisible hand. But the real challenge? The dust. It's super fine, super sharp, and it sticks to everything. It's like the moon has a grudge against your spacesuit and your spaceship. And don't forget the temperature. It swings from scorching hot during the day to freezing cold at night. It's like the moon has a temper and a grudge. So all these forces, gravity, radiation, dust, and temperature, make the moon a tough place to visit. It's not just about the distance, it's about the environment itself. Imagine if someone said, "We've never been to the top of Mount Everest," and you'd think that's impossible. But the moon is like Everest, just a mountain we've never climbed. We've got rockets, satellites, and all the tech to get there. But somehow, we're still stuck in the same old orbit, like we're afraid to leave the parking lot. It's like we've got the tools to climb a mountain, but we're still debating whether the map is accurate or if the mountain even exists. So the real question isn't why we haven't gone to the moon. It's why we're still debating whether we should. Maybe it's not about the technology, but about the will, and whether we're ready to take the next step. You know that Eagle landing module? It's not just a name, it's a real piece of engineering. The Apollo 11 lunar module had a landing gear that folded up like a flower, ready to touch down on the moon's surface. Here's a find worth sharing: the Stanley Quencher 40 Oz tumbler. Point your camera at the QR code or use the description link. Subscribe for more where that came from. The whole thing was designed to land softly, even though it was heavier than a car. It had to survive the moon's extreme temperatures and thin atmosphere, no airbags, just precision engineering. The Eagle also had a computer, a rudimentary one, but it had to handle all the calculations in real time. It even had a program called 1202 that helped it manage unexpected issues. This wasn't just a one-time thing. The landing gear was tested and refined for years before it ever left Earth. It was part of a huge, complex system that worked perfectly on the moon. So when you hear the name Eagle in the mission logs, it's not just a cool nickname. It's a symbol of the real, intricate machinery that made the moon landing possible. So the first myth we're busting is that the moon landing was faked. But here's the thing, people have been to the moon, and it's not just a movie set. Let's think about the evidence. There's photos, videos, even moon rocks that came back with the astronauts. They're real, and they're not from Earth. If someone wanted to fake the moon landing, they'd have to recreate an entire alien world, which is way more complicated than just making a movie. Plus, the moon has been visited multiple times by different countries, and the same rocks have been found in various locations. There's no way that could be faked. So, the idea that the moon landing was fake is not just wrong. It's missing the big picture of what actually happened on the moon. Another big myth is that the moon landing was a cover-up for something else. But let's be real. If NASA wanted to hide something, they wouldn't have gone to the trouble of putting a flag and a ladder on the moon. The whole point of the Apollo missions was to explore, not to hide anything. And the world watched those live broadcasts, with millions of people around the globe cheering for the first steps on another world. Plus, if the moon landing was fake, why did the Soviet Union, our main space competitor, never catch us in a lie? They had their own space program and their own eyes on the sky. The moon landing was a real event, documented by cameras, satellites, and even other countries. It wasn't a secret. It was a moment that changed how we see our place in the universe. You might be using a phone that uses GPS technology, but did you know that the same satellite systems that help you navigate your daily commute were originally designed for space exploration? It's like the moon is still guiding us, even when we're not looking. The materials used in your everyday tech, like the strong, lightweight aluminum in your laptop, were once tested in the harsh conditions of space. The moon isn't just a place. It's a source of innovation that's shaped the world we live in. The moon's influence is also seen in how we think about the future. Every time we look up at the stars, we're reminded that we're part of something bigger, a shared human journey that began with curiosity and continues today. So, even though we haven't returned to the moon in decades, its legacy is all around us. The moon is still guiding us, not just through space, but through the way we live, build, and dream. Let me tell you about the time NASA tried to launch a rocket to the moon, only to have it crash into the ocean. It was a huge deal, and it made people rethink everything. The rocket was supposed to be a test, but instead of landing softly on the moon, it ended up crashing down in the middle of the Pacific. It was like a big, expensive balloon that just popped. The crash wasn't just a technical failure. It was a moment that made people question if we were even ready to go to the moon. It was a real-world example of how things can go wrong in space. But even with this failure, NASA didn't give up. They learned from it, and eventually they made it to the moon. That crash was a turning point, not the end. So, even though we've never gone back to the moon, every failed attempt teaches us something. And sometimes, those failures lead to the most important successes. We built the most powerful rockets ever, with engines that roared like thunder and flames that lit up the sky. These machines were designed to punch through the atmosphere and reach the moon in just a few days. The Saturn V rocket, for example, was so strong it could lift more than 130 tons into space. That's the weight of a fully loaded cargo ship. It wasn't just about the rocket power. It was about the cost, the complexity, and the unknowns beyond the moon. The technology that got us there was incredible, but maintaining it was expensive, and the world moved on to other challenges, like the Cold War and the rise of digital tech. So, even though we had the power to go to the moon, we didn't keep going. And that's why we've never been back. Imagine the moment everything falls apart. Engines fail, alarms blare, and the whole mission is in danger of being lost in the void of space. The rocket could veer off course, lose power, or even break apart, all before reaching the moon, and all without a single human ever setting foot on its surface. What if the moon itself turned out to be a trap? A dead, lifeless rock with no resources, no secrets, and no reason to keep sending people there. Or what if we just lost interest? Maybe the cost was too high, the politics too messy, and the public just stopped caring about a place so far away. In the end, sometimes the greatest tragedy isn't that we never went, but that we never had to. You know what's weird? The moon has been there for billions of years, but we've only been to it once. It's like the most obvious place in the sky, and yet we still don't have a permanent presence there. And the reason? It's not just about cost or politics. It's about what happens when you're so far away from home, you can't even come back. It's like being stuck in a place you can't afford to stay. The moon is a place where time moves differently. Every step you take there is a step you can't go back on. No GPS, no air, no way to fix things if something goes wrong. It's not just about the physics of space. It's about the human cost of being so far from home. You can't just leave your family, your friends, your whole world behind and expect to come back. So, even though the moon is right there, in the sky, we've chosen to keep it at a distance. A distance that's not just physical, but emotional, political, and financial. So, how did we even figure out the moon wasn't just a floating rock in the sky? Well, we started by looking up, really looking up, and noticing patterns in the stars. Early astronomers mapped the moon's phases, realized it orbits Earth, and even estimated its distance by timing how long it took to move across the sky. By the 20th century, we had math, physics, and rockets. All the pieces came together, and suddenly the moon wasn't just a mystery. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end.